Welcome to our lesson on powers of 10. Explaining patterns in the number of zeros when you're working with powers of 10 is what you're looking to accomplish in this lesson. Powers of 10s is basically multiplying or dividing a number by 10 with an exponent. And what I would like for you to be able to do at the end of this lesson is to explain the patterns in the number of zeros you see in the answer when multiplying whole numbers by powers of 10. You're going to use a whole number and you're going to multiply it by a power of 10 and then look at the patterns. It'll be a series of numbers. For example, you'll have 25 times 10, 25, which is 10 to the first, 25 times 10 times 10, which is the same as 25 times 10 to the second. However many times you multiply by 10 is what your exponent will be. If you notice in the third one, 25 times 10 times 10 times 10. As you see, there are 3 10s, so right here is 10 to the third. The same with the last one, 25 times 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. What do you see? You see 4 10s, so you'll see 4 as your exponent, 25 times 10 to the 4. What I really want you to notice is a pattern in the answers. So what I'm doing right now is circling it just to kind of emphasize it a little bit, and you can see for the very first one you have 1 0 behind that 25, which makes it 250. For the very second one you have 2 zeros behind that 25. Now the number turns into 2,500. For the very next one you have 3 zeros, and the last one you have 4 zeros, but they are all right behind that 25, which makes your number greater by 10 each time. 1 0, 2 zeros, 3, and 4. So now that you see the pattern that's going on each time, your exponent goes up from 10 to the first, 10 to the second, 10 to the third, and 10 to the fourth. It will help you know how many zeros you have to add directly after each one of these numbers, whatever the number is you start with. Let's practice. We'll start with 345, and it is multiplied times 10 to the first. The next one is 345 times 10 to the second. We're using the same number each time, 345 times 10 to the third, 345 times 10 to the fourth. So basically, if you're looking at that and you're doing mental math, you can look at each one and say, all I have to do is add a 0 however many times the exponent is. So I'm going to start with 345 here, and it's multiplied times 10 to the 1, or 10 to the first, which means I only add 1 0. And my final answer is 3,450. Next one, 345 again, but this time it's multiplied by 10 to the second, which means you're going to add 2 zeros, 1 and 2. And that gives you a final answer of 34,500. Your next one, 345 again, but this time you're adding how many zeros? Well, the exponent is 3, so you're going to add 3 zeros to the 345. 1, 2, and 3. That gives you a final answer of 344,000. And the very last one, 345, this time adding 4 zeros, 1, 2, 3, and 4. That gives you a final answer as 3,450,000. Down at the bottom, this time I used the number 123. 123 times 10 to the first, 123 times 10 to the second, 123 times 10 to the third, and 123 times 10 to the fourth. So basically I'm going to write 123 all 4 times and just add zeros accordingly. First time I'm adding 1 0, the next time I'm adding 2 zeros, the next time I'm adding 3 zeros, 3, and the last one 4 zeros. Once you're done, basically all you have to do is put your commas where they need to go in your final answer. That one not right, so the final answer here would be 12,300. Final answer, 123,000, 1,230,000. If you notice, Miss Lancaster is underlining the final answer. The next one. This time we're using 87, and it is in the same order, basically where you're adding a 0 each time. The first one was 10 to the first. Okay. The next one, 87, we're adding 2 zeros. 87 and 3 zeros. And 87 and 4 zeros. So you can see, working with powers of 10 is not very hard. Basically, all you're doing is looking at your exponents to tell how many zeros you need. That gives you a final answer of 870. The next one, 8,700. And I want you to see that pattern. 87,000. And the same goes for the last problems. 59, the first time I'm adding 1 0. The next time I'm adding 2 zeros. The very next time I'm adding 3 zeros. And the last time, oh, I only added 2. I need to add 1 more there. And the next time I'm adding 4 zeros. So I have 490, 5,900, 59,000, and 590,000. I want you to look at this one and then look at these numbers, the 4 numbers on the top that are underlined and the 4 numbers on the bottom that are underlined. And the pattern that you can see is the 87 stay the same, and each time you're adding a 0. Now we're going to use what we just practiced with, and I want you to try. So I'm going to say your turn. Let's start with the number 92. The very first time you're going to add what? 1 0. The next time you're starting with 92 again, and this time you're adding 2 zeros. The next time, 92, 3 zeros, and 92 with 4 zeros. And the very last one, 457, 1 0 added, which will turn that into 4,570. The next one, start again with 457, but this time you're adding 2 zeros. That will give that a final answer of 45,700. Once again, starting with 457, but this time the exponent is 3, so we're adding 3 zeros. 457 again. Exponent is 4, so we're adding 4 zeros. And don't forget to go back and add your commas accordingly. And I forgot to add my commas up here, so I'll go back and do that. Not bad, huh? How about a challenge? Well, the reason why it's a challenge, if you notice, the numbers are no longer in order. You don't see 10 to the first, 10 to the second, 10 to the third, 10 to the fourth. But basically the same thing applies. You start with the whole number, which is 4 in this case, and you basically just add how many zeros? 5, because your exponent is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The next one, start with 8, and we're adding 3 zeros. 1, 2, and 3. The next one, I'm going to take those out just so you can see. We're starting with 3, and the exponent is 2, so we're adding 2 zeros. The next one is 7. Your exponent is 4, so you're adding 4 zeros. And down at the bottom, I'm going to put the answers to these back up here so that you can see in this case, basically you are working the problems, but there's no pattern because the exponents are not in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. We have 9, only adding 1 zero. We have 2, adding 3 zeros. 2 and 3. We have 5, adding, gonna make that a little bit more clear for you. 5, adding 4 zeros this time. And that turns into 50,000. And now we're starting with 6, but this time we're adding 6 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, which gives you 6 million. That concludes our lesson on powers of 10.